At Bulldog Burger, we take the burger game to the next level, like the Freshman 15, stacked with panko fried mozzarella. Unleash your appetite.
A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's scary that it can be put into anything. We can't even see it or notice it.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Continues to be a pretty gloomy forecast heading into our Tuesday afternoon and evening plans. Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and that's one of the many headlines we'll be tracking here at the 6 o'clock hour. It's just a lot of rainfall, and that'll be how we expect this evening to go. So showers lingering this evening and continued chances into our Wednesday, so make sure to have that rain gear around. But as we look at that forecast beyond and talking by the end of the week, cooler temperatures will be in store. Perfect timing for our Halloween, right? I mean, how do we need to dress? Well, probably need the layers. And Melissa, a historic storm, a historic beast working its way through Jamaica and now Cuba. We'll look at the impacts that we saw when it made landfall in Jamaica earlier today, as well as what to expect going forward for folks there in Cuba. And again, we're saying our thoughts and prayers here at Mississippi Live Weather. Encourage you to do the same as this storm makes a catastrophic impact, but we'll see more here in just a moment. The first 12, rainfall in our forecast, nothing severe, nothing even close to severe as we see not even but maybe a few rumbles of thunder. That's really on the higher end of the spectrum. What we really expect this to be is just a soggy stratiform precipitation. 7 p.m., 50%. That 50% remains in the forecast even into those early morning hours. So for those early risers on your Wednesday, have that rain gear ready. But even for our later risers, I mean, 30% still enough to have some scatter precipitation. Make sure to stay on the safe side and, of course, have that rain gear on standby. Temperature-wise, cooling off, much cooler than what we saw this morning, 49 degrees by 7 a.m. That'll be noticeably different as we walk out the door tomorrow morning. As we take a look outside right now, this is in Bonitoc, believe it or not. I could have told you this was anywhere, and you would believe me because this is literally just a cloud. That's how low these clouds are. This is what we mean when we say stratiform precipitation. That's basically stratiform clouds, the ones that blanket the sky kind of lower on the in the atmosphere. That's what we're getting right now and right over the North Mississippi Storm Chaser camera there in Pontotoc, 57 degrees. This is new. Usually we see this type of conditions when it's foggy weather, not usually when it's just rainy weather. So definitely a view there. I believe our Greenwood camera is down. I wanted to showcase some of that rainfall as you can see on radar, but we'll go ahead and assess that whenever we get into our Mississippi Live Weather radar. So as we see in Greenwood, the heaviest downpours right now, right over the top of you guys, that strip with those darker greens going along Highway 82 for the most part. Even for folks south of 82, Attala County getting a good output. Water Valley over there towards Batesville getting some decent precipitation. And even here on the northeast side of Lafayette County getting some decent outputs. Now, I would tell you that, we could track some of this, but a lot of this is just going to be that uniform rainfall that's not going to be too impactful. No location is higher than the other. Another characteristic of stratiform precipitation is pretty uniform across the board, and we're getting exactly that. So no complaints. And not really much to track, just movement of these showers moving through the area. 1 hour loop kind of shows you this eastward progression. So some of those heavier outputs out there towards Greenwood moving east, and now Eupora getting a little bit of that as well. Speaking of Eupora, we do have our Mississippi Live Weather Game of the Week. Encourage you guys to go vote if you have not already. Tell us where we're going. Last I saw, East Webster and Eupora were winning by a large margin, but folks in Saltillo, you guys still have time to vote, and folks in the Starkville area, you guys still have an opportunity to make your mark and have us head down there for your game. So let us know where you want us to go. There's still about 4 hours to do so. And that can make all the difference whenever it comes to these votes. We've seen some big time comebacks, and that's still a realistic possibility. As we bring it back here to Mississippi Live Weather Radar, this is a product that we have called Storm Tops. And as you can see right here, those blues, lower storm tops, and whenever we get those brighter colors, of course, showcasing a little bit of those higher storm tops, meaning larger rainfall outputs, the potential for some stronger storms. None of that on the horizon, not even getting, 25 or 30,000 feet. So we're not even close to that realm. A lot of this is going to be uniform precipitation showing that light to moderate rainfall at most. And that's just going to be a good soaking this evening. If you're looking for that primetime nap weather, this is honestly as good as you get. So honestly, after we wrap up the 6, take about a 3-hour nap, and we'll see you back here tonight at 10. As we look at the rainfall rates, not overly high either. I mean, I don't believe we're getting an inch out of any of these. That one maybe down there towards Kosciuszko, Of course, I said not an inch, 0.99 inches an hour. So there you go. They're just kind of mocking me at this point. Just under 3/4 of an inch over there in Clay County, and same thing over there towards Union County, a little bit above 3/4 of an inch. So some outputs higher than others as we look. A lot of these blues that are showing up, well, it's not zero, but a couple hundredths of an inch really is what we're going to be getting. So that's what a lot of us are receiving, but some areas getting some heavier outputs. Let's go ahead and expand things out to assess this on our surface analysis. And what we've been watching over the past several days is this low pressure center that's moving through the region and starting to give us some of those cooler temperatures on the back end. But this is something that will start to occlude over time, meaning that we're not going to see as significant of impacts on this severe weather threat that they have down south. That's really going to remain down south, but we'll go over that here in just a moment. But this is starting to wrap back around. So it's not that steady progression over time. We basically get this movement that then will start to wrap back around and remain right over the top of us here in North Mississippi and allowing that moisture to circulate, giving us plenty of rainfall for our Wednesday as well. Now we are still tracking Hurricane Melissa down south, working its way closer to Cuba right now. Almost a re-intensification happening in that little bit of area. I wanted to do this earlier at the 5 o'clock, but now we have the opportunity. Curious how far of a distance, 129 miles. So the fact that 129 miles is making the difference with that storm in regards to increasing it in strength, my word, just say a prayer for folks down there. It's going to be something that we will remember for a long, long time. I was telling my wife earlier she teaches weather in her curriculum. And I said, this is definitely a storm that you should go talk to your students about, because whenever we talk about those notable storms over time, we remember Andrew, we remember Katrina, we remember so many storms that have worked their way, Helene, through the area. And this is going to be one that not necessarily impactful for us, but one that's impactful for a lot of folks down there in Jamaica and Cuba, and one that will be cleaning up the damage for years to come. And also on top of that, I believe there was one site that said 25,000 tourists were still in Jamaica when the storm hit. So just devastating when you're thinking about that. And I believe, and we'll talk about this later on, but I wanted to say one more thing. In chat the other day, some folks said that some other people were traveling from Winona down to Jamaica. And so I have not heard from them here recently, but I'm curious to know how they're doing and if they were able to make it through at least the worst part of this storm there in Jamaica as it works its way on through. Again, we're praying for you guys and hopefully get this back on track as soon as possible, but we know this storm will have catastrophic damage. So let's bring it back up here to North Mississippi for the time being. Actually, we'll bring it back up here towards the entire southeast, because we are going to assess this low pressure center working its way through the region. You can see some of this wraparound moisture that we're going to be getting there towards northern Arkansas, but our main threat is still going to be this frontal system, this occluded front. And occluded front basically means that we are on the back end of the life cycle of this low pressure center. This is 3 a.m. on your Wednesday, and waking up and heading out the door, you can see this band of moisture still in the area by 6 a.m. right along Highway 45. So if you're traveling anywhere along 45 or east around 6, 7, 8 o'clock in your morning commute, we'll make sure to have that rain gear on standby. But even if you're out west, have that rain gear ready as well, because your rain chances will come later in the day. You can see a lot of this rainfall going to be moderate showers by 9, 10 a.m. That's where we're going to get some decent outputs beyond that into our Wednesday afternoon. So there you can see the next 30% chance along those morning hours. But getting towards our afternoon, we top out around 40% there by 3 p.m. And that continues to be that mid-afternoon time frame before those work through the area and carry out towards the east. So we have a lot of rainfall to keep track of here in the Room to Room Weather Center. And of course, I'd love to track out each one of these, but basically it's going to be a uniform distribution over the next 24 to 36 hours or so. So make sure to have that rain gear ready, umbrella on standby, and you'll be good to go for this forecast that we're experiencing. So coming up in the next 60, what are we going to be discussing? Well, beyond that front, what can we expect? We know there's wraparound moisture, but once all of that clears out, what will we be left with? We'll take a look at that for your Halloween forecast, as well as the latest look at Hurricane Melissa. Lots to discuss, and we'll cover it in full detail coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6 in the next 60.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. But only you can prevent wildfires.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, a beautiful evening across the region, but a beautifully rainy evening at that as we get a live look there in Panola County, Batesville, showcasing a little bit of that moderate rainfall. If we look right here on the bottom left, we can see some of that green showing up. That's going to be that moderate rainfall just progressing through the region, making for some slick roadways. I do see a little bit of ponding there. Also, the ponding, not exactly something you get whenever you have this light of rainfall, but being that we've had light rainfall for 2 out of the last 3 days, pretty uniform distribution. Well, that of course starts to build up over time. If you noticed yesterday, the soggy conditions really never left despite not getting too much rainfall. Well, that's just because we didn't have anything to dry it up, and that's the same case today. So nothing to dry up that moisture. Expect another soggy evening for our Tuesday. Fulton coming in with some of those slick roadways as well. Folks traveling out and about, but that sun is setting, making for a beautiful evening across North Mississippi, but again, a beautifully wet evening. So 57 degrees, temperatures, big story heading into the next 72 hours or so. Reason why is because this is a cold front that's progressing through the region. So 57 in Tupelo, 57 in Amory, still low 60s in Grenada, Greenwood, and Clarksdale. Remember that because that does start to shift. Whenever we're looking at those temperatures across the region, you can see warmer temperatures. And the reason why we do have that severe weather threat, you can see the unstable air due to some of that warmer air being in place. 72 Natchez, 77 Lake Charles. But then up north, and especially north and west, we can see 56 towards Fayetteville, 58 Oklahoma City. Basically what we're getting right now, but these blues going to be pushing into the region as well, and these blues are about 40 degrees, and that's a realistic possibility as we get further into that forecast. So bringing it back here into North Mississippi, temperature change, basically nothing from yesterday, not very much. But as we look out west, lots of blues showing up, and even that 11-degree temperature change in Dallas gives us a little hint of what's going to be taking place as we wrap up this week and head into that Halloween forecast. I do want to say that our Mississippi Live Weather Radar does have that severe weather threat, but that's primarily going to be for Alexandria, Lake Charles, even there towards Baton Rouge, not anywhere close to North Mississippi. What we're going to be getting is just that stratiform precipitation. Again, not going to have any severe weather threat tied to it. That risk area, again, that level 2 threat into Alexandria, just south of Shreveport, but that green barely into southwest Mississippi. And that's even a little bit of a stretch whenever we're looking at how that atmosphere is set up. So fortunately, severe weather, not our story, and we're getting exactly what we need to alleviate some of those drought conditions. Bringing it back here to Mississippi Live Weather Radar, you can see some of those heavier outputs still from Greenwood all the way along 82 towards Attala County, Choctaw County, and Webster County. So no complaints there. Maybe if you're in Starkville right now wrapping up classes, that could be one to complain about. But elsewhere, should be a good story, exactly what we need. Farmers are happy, and we'll be happy because that means more crops for us, more food for us. So no complaints about that at all. So let's go ahead and expand things out. What to expect into our Tuesday night? Well, again, this low is going to be the big driver in that forecast, moving a little bit northeast right here as that kind of wraps around. That dying phase for sure is happening. That 10 p.m. hour, we're still getting a lot of that rainfall west of I-55, but that does move a little bit more east as that front, whether it's the occluded front or cold front. Either way, it's pushing a lot of that moisture along 45 and then into the Alabama state line. So by 2, 3, and 4 o'clock in your Wednesday morning, of course, we'll see some of that wrap around that cold front, but that's not the end of our rain chances. As we track that into our 6 a.m. hour, that will move across 45, across the state line, but then more comes on the back side. But being that we do have that little bit of dry air as we kick into those overnight hours, we do see temperatures already start to drop. 47 in Houston, 46 Grenada, 48 around South Haven. I told you the blues would be in the forecast, and we're already seeing it for the start of our Wednesday. So layering up, having an extra layer or sweatshirt will definitely be essential as we go into our Wednesday. But I say this because my wife asks me all the time, what is the forecast? What do I need to wear for the forecast? The morning is not going to be much different than the afternoon. So if it's too cold whenever you get out the door, then it's going to be too cold for you in general. As we look at their drop-off temperatures, 49 degrees. As we get towards that last bell, 54. That's a 5-degree temperature change as the whole day goes on. That's hours and hours. So the fact that we're seeing that little of a change means that it's going to be pretty uniform throughout the day with rainfall and pretty uniform whenever it comes to our temperatures. So whatever you're experiencing in the morning, basically have that same thing by the afternoon. So let's go ahead and get it back into Futurecast, and this is at 7:30 on your Wednesday, and that cold front continues to push a lot of that moisture into the state line and on into Alabama and Tennessee. We're left with a slight break. Yeah, There will be some dry air back behind this front, but then we get this term called wraparound moisture, and this counterclockwise flow will wrap around some of those moderate showers towards Little Rock, Pine Bluff, and even there towards the Mississippi Delta. As we keep that going into our noon hour, and we bring it back here towards our home view, you can see some of those showers light at first, but get some more moderate rainfall as it moves closer to Tunica County, Bolivar County, and then on into the rest of western Mississippi. So 12 p.m. into that 1:30 and 3 o'clock hour. That's where we can see those heaviest outputs, but still just yellows and maybe oranges. That's around 1 to 1.5 inches per hour. Not an extremely high rain rate, but it is in addition to what is already a soggy environment. So this is just going to up those rain totals and could produce some isolated flash flooding, but not overly concerned about that threat. It just really depends on where these showers line up. So into your Wednesday late afternoon and early evening, those showers do push further south and east into the Golden Triangle, and that low progressing further away will carry a lot of this moisture out with it. So that's a good thing with this forecast. Once we wrap up our Wednesday, that's really the wrap on those rain chances as well. 10 p.m. already seeing some of those drier conditions move in place. And as we look there Thursday morning, there's that drier air, those northwesterly winds really kicking into the region, giving us that continental air, which if you remember is that drier and cooler air that we love this time of year because it means sweatshirt weather, not with a rain jacket either. So 6 a.m. on your Thursday, waking up and heading out the door, those dry conditions in place and clouds already starting to break up out west. So that's where we'll start to see some of that sunshine return. If you forgot what it looks like, well, Thursday will be a great reminder, and that'll push into the entire region by the time we get towards our Thursday afternoon. So enjoy it, make some plans to get outside, just take it all in as we get to the wrap up of our October month. So 6 p.m. Thursday, sunny skies, and as that sun starts to set, left with clear skies. With that northwesterly wind, it's going to be a little bit chilly as we get out the door, so make sure to have those layers handy as for any of those Thursday evening plans. Extending things out, we can see rainfall totals over the next couple of days. I want to go back over this to kind of assess this going forward. We do see about 1/2 of an inch right along the Tennessee. Whew. It's a Tuesday. The Arkansas state line, and as that continues to surge eastward, you can see those rain chances or rain outputs start to up as well. Maybe getting close to an inch along the eastern portions of Mississippi, but we really expect 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch due to how light that rainfall is. That, of course, starts to linger in the region, but watch how this stripe moves back into the forecast heading into our Wednesday afternoon, right over Clarksdale, Greenwood, and even for parts of Tunica, upping those totals to about 1.5 inches, 1.1 inches in Greenwood, and then on into the rest of North Mississippi as those light showers work their way on through. So dry beyond this point, and that's the good thing, but cooler as well once those clouds and rainfall moves completely out of the area. 48 Wednesday, dropping to 39 by Friday morning, that your Halloween morning. So having layers will be very important as we get out the door because we're going trick-or-treating one way or another. We just got to make sure to prepare a little bit in advance, right, kids? So let's go ahead and look at that 7-day forecast so we can talk about the Halloween in its entirety. 49 around 7, 54 there by 5, 55 peak heating by the afternoon. So very little change throughout the day, only about a 5 to 6 degree difference. 30% chance of rainfall by the morning, 40% by the afternoon. So rainfall going to be pretty consistent as well. As we continue with the rest of our week though, Thursday and Friday much drier, but Friday, Halloween, 39 degrees in the morning, 64 by the afternoon. There's that broad disparity showcasing those drier conditions, but as we head into our weekend, still tracking cool mornings, 40 for Saturday, 41 by Sunday. So even beyond that, heading into our November timeframe, staying below our seasonable average, and we'll enjoy all the cool temperatures that we can get. Beyond that, Monday, Tuesday looking dry as well. Maybe the potential of a few isolated showers here in this window between Sunday and Monday, but really the positioning on that low will be very important in regards to how those rain chances are depicted. And right now, Long Track Model's not agreeing on it. That's a good thing because it means that it's not really going to agree on where it lands, and it could be far away from here. So we'll track that in more detail coming up as the week goes on. But as of right now, let's stay on what we're experiencing here and now, and that's Rainfall Wednesday, and then that drier but cooler air for our Halloween. Now, beyond Mississippi, we are tracking a beast of a storm in Hurricane Melissa down there in Jamaica and Cuba. We'll have a full look at that forecast coming up here in the next 60 seconds from the Room to Room Weather Center on what exactly Melissa has done and what we expect that storm to do moving forward coming up in just a minute. Oh, clicked off of it.
1 in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The Health Class Film Guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go.
Love, your mind.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Laupon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Laupon has proven himself trustworthy.
Welcome back here to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. We are tracking the landfall of Hurricane Melissa, making landfall as a Category 5 hurricane, a historic storm because of multiple things. The first one being those wind speeds, 185 miles an hour, tied for the strongest wind speeds, making landfall with 2 other storms, one in 1939, and I believe the other one, bear with me, I'm going to grab it behind the scenes, was Dorian, if I remember correctly. Yes, Dorian in 2019. The other one was in 1935 on Labor Day. So shows how historic this is. This happens, not even once a decade. It's even a larger margin than that. But also the pressure level being at 892 millibars, one of just a handful of storms that have accomplished going below 900 millibars. Basically, that means that's that pressure level at the center. We were talking about it yesterday evening at 6 o'clock, and it got even lower from that point. And just a devastating situation. 892 ties Dorian and that 1935 Labor Day hurricane as well for the lowest pressure center. So this storm will be one that's remembered for a long time coming because of the historic impact that it has and the catastrophic damage that it is currently doing in Jamaica and Cuba. Now, it did make a landfall around Negril over there in Jamaica. So that's where it made landfall, but now we're seeing it make landfall again over there in the Cuba area. So here's a look over the last 6 hours. It moved right over Negril in Montego Bay, and now currently at Category 4 strength, making its way over there towards Cuba. And as you can see, hurricane warnings currently in place with those reds showing up, and so this is going to continue to make its way all the way through Jamaica. Still seeing impacts over there with some of those strong winds wrapping around the system. This is a devastating situation, just staring at this happening, because you know what's going on at the surface, and that is just complete catastrophe. So it's just bad. So continue to say your prayers. And as we look at wave heights, you can see that those are extreme as well. Usually we see storm surge as part of this, and we're getting exactly that with 20 to 30 feet in those wave heights as it's working closer to Cuba. There's actually a re-intensification process going over this 130-mile stretch because of how warm these waters are. Very little shear as that surface moves over the top, and we could see a re-intensification as it gets closer to Cuba as it makes landfall once again. So as we watch the tropics, we can see Hurricane Melissa, Category 4 strength, as it's clearing off the northern edge of the island of Jamaica. But as we look at that 4 o'clock advisory, we're talking 921 millibar pressure level compared to 892. That is looking slightly better, and 145 miles an hour winds compared to 185. That looks better, but still 145 miles an hour with a 921 millibar center. Still a bad situation, and that's going to make landfall there towards Cuba. Still as a Category 4 storm. Wind is going to be about 140 to 145 miles an hour. That's going to be making landfall early into those AM hours, and will stay over the top of Cuba for a couple of hours as well before it works its way on through by Wednesday afternoon. Beyond that, since it's going through a high shear environment and also moving away from the warm waters of the Gulf, this will continue to diminish in strength. So as it gets further into the Atlantic, Category 1, Category 2 strength, but even then, by then it's a fish storm. But by then we'll be cleaning up the damage that has already taken place in Jamaica and soon to take place there towards Cuba. And that continues to move out there towards the northeast, away from the United States. So fortunately for us, we're not getting any impacts from the storm, but still something that that we need to keep in mind is that just the impacts that it's had so far. So looking at the spaghetti plots is always something I like to show because this is each model run, and it's reassuring to watch because a lot of this is following that same trend away from the United States, and there's not a single one taking it west. And so this is what we expect the track to be, moving northeast away from us here in the lower 48 and not seeing any impacts for us. So looking at that day planner today, of course, rainfall in the forecast, but not due to any tropical system. This is going to be that low pressure center moving through the area, 40% by 8, 50% by 10, and 40% there by midnight. Now, it's going to be a rainy forecast, but luckily it is not going to be anything too extreme. But I know that it is 6:25, and folks have either gotten off or if they're still here, just kind of hearing about Melissa. And I don't know, I feel it weighing on my heart to say a prayer real quick. And so if you want to join alongside me, just praying for what's happening down there, I feel like it is necessary, and we know that prayer works. So just take a moment with me real quick. So, dear Jesus, thank you for this day, and just thank you for everything that you have done. You are a good God, and you are a God that does have mercy and does perform miracles each and every day. God, I pray that you'll be with the folks in Jamaica and Cuba right now, just that they'll be able to lean on their understanding and their knowledge of how to stay safe in this situation. And God, that you'll lay a hand of protection over them so that way they'll get to the other side. And although it is a cleanup process, God, that's just material stuff. And we can replace that, but we can't replace the lives that are lost in the process. So please be with them. Please bring blessings to them and make them see the other side. God, we thank you for everything, and we know that you are a good God at the end of the day. It's your name I pray. Amen. So that, I don't know, I just felt like it was necessary, and I've been telling you guys to pray, and I felt like, we needed to do that as a North Mississippi family. So thank you for that. But this pretty much wraps it up for our 6 o'clock broadcast. And again, if you guys do have any questions on the storm, go ahead and put it in chat, and we will assess that a little bit more at the 10 o'clock hour. But this continues to be a devastating situation down in Jamaica. Up here, just a rainy situation. We can overcome that. Exactly what we need to alleviate some of those drought conditions. So honestly, just thank God for it. So our next broadcast happening tonight at 10. But until then, you can download the Mississippi Live Weather app to stay as informed as possible until that 10 o'clock hour happens. Lets you know when the rainfall is moving into your location or your home. If you save specific locations, again, it tracks that as well. So it's a blessing of an app and keeps my family informed as well as myself, and we appreciate that all it can do, and it's free and available. So why not download it, add those layers of protection. Beyond that, our broadcast is at 10 o'clock this evening, and we'll be back at 6:37 and 7:30 for your Wednesday morning. Chief Meteorologist Matt Loplon will have the latest on those rain chances and what to expect as we inch closer to that Halloween holiday.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
At First Choice Bank, we know you